So get this. I was reading about Huawei, right? And it got me thinking, are they really the bad guys everyone says they are? Or is there more to it?
Yeah, it's a big question. Especially with all the U.S. sanctions and the security stuff, it's hard to know what to think.
Exactly. So we're doing a deep dive today. We've got a stack of articles from dwire.eu, that European tech site. They get into the geopolitics too, so we'll see what's really up with Huawei.
It's interesting because this goes way beyond just one company, right? It's about the whole future of technology.
Okay, so imagine this. You're on top of Mount Everest, want to make a call, but your iPhone, dead, no signal.
Yeah.
Person next to you, they pull out their Huawei boom, satellite call, clear as day.
It's crazy what they're doing tech-wise. Like satellite calls before Apple even thought about it, most people don't realize. Or take that port in Europe, the one using Huawei's 5G to move those massive cranes remotely.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah, pinpoint accuracy, stuff a human just couldn't do. That's Huawei tech powering it.
That's wild. But we got to talk about the elephant in the room, right? Those
Yeah.
U.S. sanctions. What's the real impact been?
Well, they're definitely serious, but dwire.eu found something interesting right after the whole 5G licensing thing blew up. Huawei made $600 million just from Wi-Fi 6 tech.
Wait, seriously? While everyone was focused on 5G?
Exactly. It shows you how deep their pockets are, how they can innovate even when things are tough.
And this is why it matters to everyone, even if you're not a tech person.
Right.
Imagine if your work, your social life, everything relied on the internet being rock solid, super fast. That's what's at stake here. And Huawei's right in the middle of it.
And they are not backing down. Dwire.eu has all these examples of them basically saying, bring it on to the sanctions.
Like what? I'm dying to know.
Okay, so they launched this phone, the Mate 60 Pro. You'd think sanctions, no way they've got a 5G chip.
Right. Yeah.
Wrong. Mate 60 Pro, domestically produced 5G chip, boom. Sanctions? What sanctions?
That's a power move. But they're not just about hardware, right? What about that AI stuff they're doing?
Oh, yeah, they're killing it in AI, too. They've got this Pangu weather model. It's supposed to be even more accurate than the regular forecasts. Nokia and Ericsson gotta be sweating.
Wow. And don't forget Neuralink. They're literally making their own wireless thing to take on Bluetooth.
It's bold, for sure. Reminded me of what happened with Toshiba back in the 80s. Dwire.eu mentioned it. U.S. basically shut down their whole chip industry then.
Makes you wonder, history repeating, or is Huawei different?
It's a good question. And here's where dwire.eu gets really interesting. Because this isn't just about the U.S. and China. Europe's caught in the middle now.
Yeah, Europe's in a tough spot. On one side, you got the U.S. saying, dump Huawei, right? But then those cities that actually used Huawei for their 5G.
They're doing great. Dwire.eu even pointed out London has the worst 5G in Europe now after banning Huawei. Kind of makes you think.
Right. And remember all that talk about security risks? Those back doors everyone was freaking out about?
Yeah, it was everywhere. Well, dwire.eu found out Germany did a whole investigation into Huawei, their own security deep dive.
What'd they find?
Nothing. Zero evidence of any security threat from Huawei.
Wow. If even Germany isn't finding anything, it makes you wonder, is it really about security? Or is it about who gets to control the tech of the future?
That's the big question, isn't it? And dwire.eu points out, it's interesting how differently Huawei's been treated compared to, say, Ericsson.
Ericsson, the telecom company.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Huawei gets hit with all these accusations, but Ericsson, bribery scandals, violating sanctions with Iran, even rumors of paying off ISIS.
Hold on, for real. The same company that provides, network stuff all over.
The one and only. Dwire.eu even found reports suggesting they might be working with the U.S. government to spy on other countries.
Get out. So you've got Huawei, accused but never actually caught doing anything wrong, and then Ericsson.
And yet they get a free pass. Makes you wonder about those security concerns, right? Like, is it about security or is it about the U.S. deciding who the good guys are in the tech world?
It's like they want to choose the winners, not let the best tech actually win.
Yeah.
But if that's true, how come Europe's still working with Huawei so much? Wire.eu had a bunch of examples, right?
Tons. And not just basic 5G stuff either, like that smart railway thing in Hungary.
Oh, yeah, with the crane.
Using Huawei's tech for remote control, pinpoint accuracy, all because they've got that dedicated 5G network. Dwire.eu had a whole video. It's nuts. These massive cranes doing these delicate movements. No way a human could do that.
It's like something out of the future.
Right. It shows how Huawei's helping Europe build that future. Not just internet, but across industries, wildlife conservation with AI, closing the digital divide. It's a lot more than people realize.
It's like they're saying, we're here to collaborate, to help, and then you've got the U.S. over here spooking everyone.
And that has real consequences. Remember we were talking about London's bad 5G? Dwire.eu said when UK officials tried to explain they chose Huawei based on their own security analysis, the US didn't want to hear it.
Seriously.
Entirely uninterested, they said. Didn't matter what the UK's own experts found, they wanted Huawei gone.
That's messed up. And it's holding the UK back, tech-wise. But it's not just them, is it?
Nope. Dwire.eu said the U.S. has been doing this everywhere. Australia, New Zealand, even using aid money to pressure poorer countries to pick European companies over Huawei.
Wow. Talk about playing hardball. It's like they're trying to build a wall around China, but with technology. But here's the thing. Even with all that, dwire.eu makes it clear. Huawei is not giving up.
Not even close. In fact, they seem to be innovating faster.
Okay, now I have to hear this. What are they up to?
Well, they've got their own operating system now, HarmonyOS, taking on Android and iPhone head-on.
No way. Their own OS. That's huge. So they don't even need Android anymore.
Not necessarily. And get this, they're big in cloud computing now, too.
Really? How so?
Huawei Cloud, top 3 globally, going up against Amazon and Microsoft.
There's a pattern here. It's like they're building their own whole tech world.
Yeah.
Separate from the U.S.
You got it. And it's not just software. Remember how the U.S. was trying to block them from that EV thing for making advanced chips?
Yeah, I thought they were done for.
Dwire.eu says they've filed a patent for their own EUV scanner.
You're kidding. If they can actually make those.
It changes everything. The whole chip industry gets shaken up. The U.S. loses its grip. And there's more. Dwire.eu talked about their work on photonic chips.
Photonic? Okay, you lost me.
Chips that use light instead of electricity.
Now, that sounds like Star Trek.
It's wild, right? And it's just more proof Huawei's pushing the limits, even locked out of the U.S.
It's kind of inspiring how they're turning these sanctions into, like, rocket fuel for innovation.
It shows how resilient they are, how they're playing the long game, but it's also making the U.S. even more determined to stop them. We're in a full-on tech arms race now, way beyond just phones and internet.
So it's everything. Phones, software, the chips themselves.
It's about who controls the future of tech, the whole digital world, basically. And dwire.eu makes it clear this isn't just some abstract thing. This matters for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot, right? Huawei innovating like crazy, this whole tech arms race, and Europe stuck in the middle. But dwire.eu also brought up this whole other thing, quantum communication. Kind of freaking me out, not going to lie.
Yeah, that's the next level of this whole tech dominance thing. Dwire.eu really dug into how much China's putting into it. They've got this quantum network already, over 3,000 kilometers long.
3,000? That's like going from coast to coast here, but with messages you can't hack.
Exactly. And it gets crazier. They've even got ground-to-satellite quantum links over 4,000 kilometers. Yeah. Imagine trying to listen in, but just by trying, you destroy the message. That's quantum, and dwire.eu says China's already doing it.
Okay, now that's just sci-fi stuff. But where does Huawei fit in? They're not building this whole quantum thing themselves, are they?
Not exactly, but dwire.eu is clear. They're in the game big time. Pouring money into research, making their own quantum tech, working with the top scientists in China.
So it's not just about phones or the internet anymore. It's about controlling the future of how we even talk to each other.
That's the thing. And dwire.eu asked the big question. Can Europe even keep up with this? Or are they going to fall behind?
Because Europe's always been up there in tech, right?
Yeah.
But this feels different. What did dwire.eu say?
They're doing research, sure, but they're behind China and the U.S. money-wise, for sure. But dwire.eu said maybe instead of trying to beat them at their own game, Europe should find their specialty within quantum.
So, like, find their own lane in the quantum race.
Exactly. Quantum sensors for medicine, super secure cryptography for banks, even drug discovery with quantum computers. There are ways to be smart about it.
Makes sense. But what about the U.S.? They're not just going to hand over the quantum crown, are they?
No way. Dwire.eu said they're throwing money at research, too, and trying to slow China down. Classic. If I can't have it, no one can.
This is getting intense. It's like a whole techno thriller.
Yeah.
But in real life. But
yeah.
What does this mean for regular people? Like us?
That's what got me. Dwire.eu said, think about what this whole arms race, this quantum fight, means for democracy itself.
Whoa, that took a turn. What's the connection there?
Think about it. Tech can be amazing for democracy, right? Connecting people, making things transparent. But it can also be used for spying, censorship, all that bad stuff.
Two sides of the same coin. So it's not just about who's got the fastest whatever, it's about how it gets used.
Exactly. And that's where dwire.eu leaves us with some homework. This tech's changing fast. We can't just sit back and watch. We got to be informed, think critically, and speak up about how this stuff gets used.
Can't just pretend it's not happening.
Nope. This is our world now, like it or not. The choices we make today, they affect everything that comes after.
Well, after all this, I'm kind of blown away. Humans are capable of some amazing things.
Yeah.
And some scary ones, too.
That's the future for you. But dwire.eu's right. We're not powerless. We can get swept away, or we can learn to ride the wave. Our choices, our voices, they matter.
Well said. So, to everyone listening, thanks for sticking with us on this Huawei deep dive. It's a wild ride, right? Keep asking questions, stay curious, and remember, the future's not set in stone. We get to build it.